SimWorld presents Around the Table with E and the Fat Man.
What's up, everybody? It's me, it's the B.O.B., and I'm here with my man, E. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing all right, Bob. Hopefully you are staying warm. Most of this country's in a deep freeze.
Yeah, I mean, I love the deep freeze, so please don't ever hope that I'm
I know you do.
Please don't ever hope that I'm staying warm, because that means that
Not too warm. That's right. Just
my
warm
house,
enough.
my house is at 62 right now, despite it being 30
There we
degrees
go.
outside.
Right.
Well, this is Around the Table with E and the Fat Man. That is E. I'm the Fat Man, and this is the podcast we talk about whatever we want. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about some of our, what are they going to be? Potential 3-season players. Some of the unheralded or maybe our, I don't want to say unheralded.
Just not the most celebrated of the youngsters out there.
Yeah.
And to complete Bob's thought, yes, we're talking about the 15-year-olds
There you
in
go.
the game and picking out a few that we particularly like. But no, I know where you're going with that, Bob, because I don't think they're on your list because it's sort of not the criteria. Like Josiah Cook. I think I've talked about plenty already. People know that I actually think he's a dark horse player of the year candidate. But I'm not talking about Josiah Cook today. I'm not talking about Almighty Soul. I'm talking about the players, the youngsters that we like what we see, but maybe they're a little bit more for the future. Maybe they're not the stars of today yet.
Yeah,
Would that be accurate to say?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Okay.
And I will say I am not going to limit this to just healthy players, because we have some players out there who are missing the season. They're going to miss this season because of injury, but hopefully they'll be back in SimWorld Prep season 3. Yeah, season 3.
Yeah.
And not to be confused, and or 4 potentially. Maybe they'll maybe there'll be another COVID year. Hit them up for season 5. I don't know. Anyways, we're just going on. But yeah, so there may be some injured players on this list, but it's because they have the potential of coming back, and they had some potential before they left. So E, I'll go ahead. I'll let you go first. Who's your first player?
Well, first of all, I want to mention somebody who I still think has the most potential of anybody in this class, anybody in this age cohort, which is the now injured Cairo Windsor.
Yeah.
Now, Cairo wasn't getting a ton of run anyway for Queen City, but I do believe that, he's got every tool in the kit. And it's going to come together for him at some point. But the first player actually that I want to throw out there, again, I think this is a name that most people know, I would say, but not a huge star yet, and that is Sol Evans of Showtime Basketball. 6'8", 215-pound forward out of Oakland. Nice physique. Is a good basketball body on him, and came into this year, really kind of touted as a defender, and I think that he's come through on that. Coach Kendall Joyner out there in L.A., in Hollywood with Showtime, definitely it was pretty deep into his rotation. And Evans comes off the bench, but he averages more than 16 minutes a game. Not an offensive threat. Didn't have a reputation as an offensively skilled player coming into this year, and has backed that up. Just 2.9 points per game. But if you look at the rest of those metrics and what he's doing, more than 4 rebounds per game, nice healthy total from what he's doing there. Again, from a guy who comes in off the bench, averaging almost an assist a game, half a block. And maybe most impressively, he's actually shooting a team best 69% from the field. Now, obviously, a lot of his offensive output is dunks and putbacks and play around the rim and whatever else. But, has shown some potential there. Is definitely one, I don't think he's going to make a huge leap over the course of this year. But looking next year towards season 3, season 4, potentially even when he's 17 years old, if Coach Joyner can hold on to him, I think Showtime has a very good player for the future in young Sol Evans, who also, by the way, may not be done growing. Could easily put a few more inches and a few more pounds on that frame. And, if in another season or 2, we're looking at a 6'10", 6'11", 230-pound Sol Evans, that's going to be a real problem in California and beyond in SimWorld.
Yeah, and as of right now, it looks like, I think Coach Joyner may have a little bit more faith in him, because it looks like he's going to be playing with the starters coming up. He the size for a 15-year-old. I don't know.
Yeah, he's massive.
I don't think I knew any 6'8", 15-year-olds. I don't know if I actually knew anybody over like 6'4" whenever I was growing up. But no,
Right.
I mean, he is a player who I know you mentioned he's only averaging the 2.9 points a game. He's averaging the 69% from the field. He's taking the efficient shots and he's taking the pretty much the surefire shots and he's making them.
Yeah.
You might want to consider giving him a little bit more on offense. I mean, he's obviously making smart decisions when he does have the ball in the limited time that he had. But I mean, if he's getting a starting spot and his size is going to make him a mismatch, I'd say give him a little bit more on O.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, look, it's interesting actually. Sol Evans, he's a little bit lighter, but otherwise physically very comparable to Showtime teammate, excuse me, Xavier Rubin Matthew, XRM. But and statistically, like they're nearly twins. They're both playing a little bit more than 16 minutes a game, both averaging exactly 2.9 points. Sol's pulling down just over 4 rebounds, Xavier just under 4. And look, and Xavier does lead the team in blocks with 1.4 a game. That's definitely an area he's making an impact. But the biggest difference, again, these guys almost identical height, almost identical weight, almost identical stats. Only one thing really kind of separates them, and that's that Sol is 2 years younger.
Yeah,
and can just grow that much for the future. So, look, Showtime's looking to win now. Off to a nice start. They're 5-2, but they definitely have a project to develop who could really turn into a star for them, I think, in Evans.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump over. We'll jump over to mine, and this should probably not be a surprise based on his height whenever I mention his name, because we all know that if I could trot out an all 7-foot squad, I would. But I have to go with Breck Backer for Southeast Select. He's 15 years old, 7 feet tall. That's enough for me. Put him at point guard. No, he can put a little bit more weight on, get a little bit bigger. He's only 192, but again, he's 15 years old. You throw him in a college program, he'll probably shoot up from 192 to 210, 220 real quick. But he's not starting for the Southeast Select squad right now. That's obviously that goes to Kadarius Stack Jr., which I think that they should really figure out.
Baldridge down there on the post
you got Keandre Baldridge down there too. I really think they should figure out a way to get Breck Backer in a little bit more. I mean, this kid, he is averaging 7.5 points a game. He's averaging 4 rebounds, and he's just like your pick, Sol Evans. He is also leading his squad in field goal percentage with 60%. And he's obviously taken a few more shots than Sol Evans is for Showtime. So I think that this kid, I get that they are, identity-wise, Southeast Select last season was known for their defense. Not so much this year. No, not so much this year. I mean, 26 in opponent's points per game, 26 in field goal percentage, 29th in three-point percentage. But I mean, if you're going to be that bad on defense, you need to be really good on offense. And it seems like, for me, at least, when you look at Breck Backer, Keandre Baldridge, and Kadarius Stack, if you're trying to outscore the other team, I think you got to give Breck Backer a little bit more. Again, he's coming off the bench. He does have one of the higher minutes per game for some backups in SimWorld Prep. But I really think that there should be a consideration of bringing him in and making him a focal point on offense, because he's, again, like Sol Evans, he's taking the efficient shots and he's making them. And if you're trying to outscore the other team, I think he needs to be on the floor a little bit more. And he's 7 foot tall.
I really like you. He is that. Well, what he is, and I had my eye on Baker coming into the season because I was intrigued by sort of his skill set at his size, at his young age. And he's not, he's not as good as he is today, but I think that Baker kind of has the potential to become the player that we all thought Jason Crosser could be.
Mhm.
And by the way, Crosser is having his best SimWorld season. And is probably the most sort of offensively, passing and shooting skilled big man in the SimWorld game.
Mhm.
And actually, he is having a nice year this year. I don't want to take anything away from Jason Crosser, but Baker to me looks like the younger, better version of Crosser. And he can't, he like Sol Evans is just scoring around the bucket. But if he gets a shot to kind of go with that already high level offensive, game, a little bit like Josiah Cook has, right?
Yeah.
You could see him really kind of flower there. I get why he's not starting, and I get why he doesn't play more minutes than he does. Not that he's a small part of Southeast at this point. It's in Stack and Baldridge, you've got two veteran guys, and they're quite good too. But yeah, future feels incredibly bright for young Mr. Baker.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. Trying to decide, do I want to be nice and let you finish it off, or should I?
Dealer's choice. I'll leave it up to you, Bob.
I'm going to go ahead and I have some honorable mentions, but I don't want to take any of yours away, so I'm going to go right into mine.
Oh, that's good.
I'm going to go with another, of course, 6'10 guy. Everybody's heard of him, but I just don't feel like he is consistently talked about as being potentially one of the top big. Let me not get ahead of myself. I'm going to say top bigs. I'm going to say the top 50%, and that's got to be Lakeshore Drive's witness work.
I had to guess it was going to be witness work.
There are a lot of other guys out there that I really, really like. But this kid, 15 years old, he is starting for Lakeshore Drive, averaging 9.6 points a game, 7.3 rebounds, and he is barely second on the team in field goal percentage. I mean, one little game, and him and Tyreek Watt are going to swap another 15-year-old on Lakeshore Drive. Tyreek Watt sitting at 66.7, witness work sitting at 66.1, but you got to look at how often is Tyreek Watt really on the court. I mean, as of right now, he's not getting any playing time, so he's getting 0 minutes a game. So let's just say
Witness plays almost 30 a game. He's almost not ever off the court.
Yeah, Witness right now, I mean, he is on the court the majority of the time, and for someone to be, I'd say at his position, at his age, usually whenever you see these big kids, they, at a young age, they're really not, everybody wants to be Jordan, everybody wants to be LeBron, everybody wants to be Kobe. So these bigs aren't really playing the way that I expect a big to play. And Witness work is really, he can get to the basket. He's super athletic. He is very, 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 I think he's probably going to be, by the time he hits his third season in SimWorld Prep, if he's not a top 5 player, I will be shocked. And I mean, can't really blame me for thinking that. I mean, you see, he hit number 1 on the SimWorld Prep top 10 plays yesterday. So, I mean, he's so athletic, so talented. 15, he's only 6'10". If he gets any bigger, I mean, with some of the athletic plays that he is able to pull out at his size, I don't want to. What was Arnie? Is it Bargnani? Was that the 7-footer for
Bargnani?
Yeah, was he the 7-footer for the Raptors?
Australia, yeah. That's right. He was with the Raptors. You are correct.
That is, but that's a terrible comparison. I don't want to.
Well, I don't know about that. The guy was like a number 1 draft pick and had an NBA career.
But I don't see Witness. I don't see Witness work being a 3-point sniper at 3 or at the
Probably
center
not.
position. So that's where I say it's probably not a great one. But I just think athletically, at his age, his size, what he's able to do efficiently as a 15-year-old on a team with players like D'Angelo Jordan, Zay Gore, Norman Nations, Angelo Roman. Like, they have some solid players on there, and the fact that he is probably the most efficient player on that team, I don't know how we can't be talking about it. Even going into next season, season 3, if he's not top 15, top 20, I will be very, very shocked.
Yeah. No, has a world of potential, Witness work.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, actually, if you compare Lakeshore Drive, to Showtime when I was talking about Soul Evans a minute ago. Showtime goes very deep in the roster. Lakeshore, probably more than any other SimWorld team, Rosante Vance likes to tighten up that bench.
Mm-hmm.
Only 8 guys ever regularly get in the game. The end of the bench doesn't even play that often. And really, it's the 5 starters who take all the minutes. Outside of the 5 starters, only Angelo Roman averages more than 10 minutes per game in court time for this team. And witness work, the other thing I would mention too, so of those 5 starters, you've got 4, 17-year-olds, all of them SimWorld veterans, and then you've got 15-year-old witness work. So what does that kind of say too? That he's earned his way into that. The other thing about witness in terms of his future potential is that as good as he's been this year, keep in mind that he's still just a raw athlete.
Yeah.
He's more of an athlete than a basketball player at this point. But once he starts to kind of add to that skill set a little bit, it should be sky's the limit for him.
Absolutely. And that's why I think that's why it's hard for me to really. I keep going back to the athleticism for him is like he's just out there. He's not a full basketball player. I don't know how else to say it. He is out there learning the game at a little bit of a higher level than a lot of 15-year-olds do. So it's like it goes back to his athleticism. If he can put that together with some basketball skills, he's going to be really scary a couple years down the line.
Agreed.
Well, Eric, I left you that. Here you can have that last one. Who's your second player?
Step into the breach with my last guy. Yeah, sure. Got to take it out to Philly. Dries Williams has the Kings on his team, 16-year-old JT King, and little brother, who I think is a little better, in 15-year-old JC King. And that's my last guy, JC King, 6'7", 200-pounder out of New York City, Manhattan, where I used to roam myself. He's actually the third leading scorer on a 3-3 Philly team, averaging 16 minutes a game. Impressively, he's already shown a little bit of range from 3. He's hit his first 3 in SimWorld play. Fairly good shooter, getting up close to 50% on the season. And like I said, not doing this at zero volume or only putbacks and easy buckets. He's an actual part of their offensive flow. I just like kind of everything he does out there. I mean, he can pass a little. He's a rebounder. Mentioned he's 6'7", 200 already at this age. He's got good size to grow into. He definitely looks better than older brother JT. And accordingly, he's playing more as well. So I'm not sure if they would have predicted it was going to flow that way when they both agreed to sign with Philly this year. But he's another one, JC. He is a good defender, but outside of that, is really more of an athlete than a basketball player at this point. And I'm impressed with what he's been able to do. Given that he's still a developing guy. And, once again, I think we have another potential star on our hands for Philly, for Coach Dries in the future.
Absolutely. No, and I mean, he's going to be a key part of that, along with another 15-year-old on that team, Monty Parson, who obviously we didn't mention. Everybody knows who Monty Parson is. That's why
Monty doesn't need any more press.
He doesn't
I've
need.
given him plenty.
So we don't, the Monty Parsons, the Ollie Cortezes, I mean, they don't really need us talking about them. Actually, I guess they were both going to be on honorable mentions just to get their name out there, but Ollie Cortez for sure. I mean, I don't feel like enough people are talking about him.
He flies under the radar.
He flies under the radar. But yeah, no, that's a great pick. I mean, I know they're sitting at 3-3 right now, but the King brothers, man, Coach Dries is, I feel like he's pretty set up for the future with the young kids that he's brought in. I mean, JC King, JT King, you got Alex Matthews, Monty Parson, Jay Mills. I mean, they got a solid core moving forward. So I'll be interested to see how everything plays out in season 3 for them. But yeah, I think that's a good pick. I wasn't sure which King you would choose whenever you started talking about the brothers, but it's a good choice. Do you have any honorable mentions you want to throw out there?
Well, I think 2 names kind of deserve it in the honorable mention. Daniel Irvin with Cascadia.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, 15 years old, but he's a already a key cog in a really good Cascadia team that people are talking up as a race to one favorite, and
Mm-hmm.
not without reason. Absolutely love what he's been able to do there. And then outside of that, Gulf Coast Lockdown has really kind of instituted a youth movement, which is shocking for Coach Heesh, considering that they are 7-1, and there's exactly one 17-year-old on this team, and what, 4 15-year-olds? Just three, but youth throughout this is the whole
Yeah.
project. And of their young kids, I've been impressed. His stats aren't amazing. He only averages 12 minutes a game. But when I've been calling Gulf Coast games, when I've been watching their games, in minutes and in spurts, Avery Cooks, 6'9",
Yep.
220-pounder out of Houston, has looked really good too. He's another one of these, sort of modern type of kids who, he can play defense. He's a decent athlete, but really what, impresses you is at that size and that age is his offensive IQ and his skill set. How well he can see the court and how well he just sort of understands the game. So Avery Cooks as well, for a surprising kitty core on Gulf Coast, is one of my favorites.
And
I know you got through if you wanted to throw out.
I'm just going to throw two more out there, but they don't really need introductions. Obviously, Tyree Moya, Beast of the East, Sun Chung Gu, if he comes back healthy next season, I mean, those two are going to be, they're going to be
all the talents there. All the talents there. That's right.
Absolutely. Well, E, I appreciate you as always. Do you have any final words for the people?
No, I'll stay warm. I'll give you that much. Stay warm out there, folks.
Well, I appreciate you, E, as always, and everybody. We appreciate you for listening and hope you have a good rest of your Sunday.
Later, folks.